Let's talk about it. All right, guys, shit's been going crazy on the internet today. My man Kanye West. Kanye, if you're watching this, I fucking love you, bro. But he went in. He did his damn thing, and he called out 3 people that, in his opinion, have disrespected his wife publicly. And you can go watch those videos. I don't really feel like dealing with the copyright bullshit that I'll have to deal with. But basically, there's a video of Kanye, and he's sort of roaming around Chicago, where apparently he's made the move back. He's now referring to Calabasas as his sunken place, and he's over it. He's stuck in Chicago. I mean, this video is incredible. He's walking under the train, and he has to stop at one point because the train is rumbling and making noises. It's like straight up, like Kanye's back in Chicago and he's gone full FBG duck. Like he's just straight up back in the shenanigans, back in the bullshit. He's just, I mean, it's funny too because in the clip of him talking, you don't ever see what's around him. So like, it kind of almost makes you feel like Kanye's just roaming around Chicago like it's no big deal. But, you know, I'm sure he's got a couple of guys with him and shit. But anyway, I love these videos because this is in keeping with a long-standing tradition that Kanye has where if someone, there's a way you're supposed to act as a famous person, and he is so aware of that dynamic where you're never supposed to clap back. You know, obviously his wife and all the people in that family and everything, they all have to deal with it too. They all know that, you know, it's unfortunate in the position they're in where they're the biggest celebrities in the world that if you respond to somebody, it's not going to be good. Like it's not going to be good from your perspective because you're just going to make them more famous. You're just going to, I don't know why I ever took this off full screen. You're just going to make them more famous. You know, the clout chasing is real. I deal with this all the time. It's like you feel like a person has to be at a certain level in order for you to even honestly have a public dialogue with them. But I guess Kanye in this case has found 3 people who are all, you know, on pretty massive levels of celebrity, and he's taking shots at them. And let's look at this all on an individual basis. So the first person he had issue with, and the person I think he has the least, who has done the least wrong in this case is Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon, in his DJ Vlad interview, makes some comments about Kim Kardashian. And I just watched it. From my perspective, Nick Cannon was fairly polite. Like, he dated Kim. Clearly, they slept together or whatever. He's having a conversation about women who've had a lot of plastic surgery. And he does have some pretty strong, somewhat negative opinions about girls who've had lots of plastic surgery. And he's talking about Kim or whatever. But what he avoids doing is he doesn't really like say anything that he gleaned from the time that he spent with her. He's not saying that, you know, she did anything really in particular aside from just telling him that she wanted to get plastic surgery before she actually got it. So from Kanye's case, it's like I completely understand where he's coming from. Obviously, it sucks to have anybody like publicly go out, especially as a famous person, and just do an interview that is going to just raise a whole bunch of headlines and stuff because he dated your wife. And I get where Kanye's coming from, but at the same time, I don't feel like Nick Cannon really crossed a line. He was very much having a conversation that is the kind of conversation that anyone might be having about Kim. Just in the case of, like, you know, people talk about her because she's so fucking famous. Everybody knows who she is. I swear to God, if I were to sit in a conversation with my mom and some of her friends and they were talking about Kim, they would have a similar conversation about, you know, the plastic surgery and like, you know, oh, it's so crazy, blah, blah, blah. I mean, what Nick Cannon said there, if you ask me, he was just acting like he's not famous. He was acting like what he says doesn't really matter that much, and he could just have a casual conversation about plastic surgery and a woman that he used to date as if he's not famous and as if Kim's not super famous, as if Kanye's not super famous. But he was, you know, being himself. And Nick actually already put out a video responding to Kanye where he's basically saying, you know, hey, I'm a man. I have my own opinions. I don't appreciate you telling me not to talk publicly, not to be open. And I think he has a point. Like, I think Kanye definitely is like doing a service to the world of celebrities out there by just unloading and like saying how he feels. But I think in this particular case, he's doesn't have that much to complain about. Now, again, so the next person that he said something about is Drake. So Drake has obviously had this huge moment with the Kiki, do you love me thing. And there's a huge conspiracy theory. You can go and do your Googles if you want to read about it. It's all over Twitter. But basically, people have cooked up this theory saying that, Drake is talking about how he slept with Kim Kardashian while she was with Kanye. Now, I have no opinion on whether this is true or not, but the fan theory is very entertaining, and I highly suggest that you go check it out. Like, the best one is when he says, I left out the left, took a right. It's like they show on the map where Drake's house is and where Kanye's house is. I forget exactly what the lyric is. I probably just fucked it up. But it shows that he would, in fact, be taking a right to get to Kanye's house. Well, I don't know how definitive that is, since every time you leave any driveway, you pretty much have to go either right or left. There's like a 50% chance of that being true. But there's a lot more convincing stuff about how, people think that this Drake Kim thing. Do I believe it? No, I don't really believe it, just because, if Kanye thought that this theory had any sort of ground, could you imagine him actually still wanting to be with Kim after, like, his probably the closest thing to his equal in the rap game, had an affair with her? I don't believe it. I refuse. I'm just, I'm a skeptic. I don't believe it. I had a good time reading the conspiracy theory, but I don't buy it. But Kanye's issue is more so that Drake has been asked about it, and he hasn't come out and just been more explicit and said, no, I'm not talking about Kim. Which makes sense, because clearly Drake has some kind of animosity, some kind of grudge against Kanye. He made that explicitly clear in the French Montana song, Bitch Don't Wear No 350s Around Me. So is Drake right or wrong? I appreciate what Kanye is coming out and saying. I think he's being himself. He's saying what he wants to say. He's doing the thing that people of his stature normally don't do by just calling it out. But do I think that, Drake wants the smoke in this case. And, Kanye doesn't want the smoke. Kanye has made it really clear, like, oh, you're going to beef with me? I'm not going to really beef back with you. I'm in a different place in my life. I don't want to do this lyrical back and forth that Drake clearly has at least some interest in doing. Drake not, if Drake had explicitly made it seem as if he had slept with Kim, I think that would be fucked up. But in this case, I think it's more like Drake, he wants beef with Kanye. He knows that he can sort of like egg on this little rivalry that he's trying to provoke. I don't even know like what Drake exactly is thinking in this case. I'm very curious of like what his perspective is on why he's dissing Kanye. Like, I really wish I could just have an honest answer from Drake. Why do you want this smoke? Why are you egging this little fight on? And I think that obviously the Don't Wear No 350s Around Me is the main thing, but there've been a bunch of little things, and I'd just like to hear Drake explain why this is a good move, why this is advantageous. There obviously is something to be won from just establishing dominance within the hierarchy, just making it clear that like, oh, look, Kanye doesn't want to smoke with me, so therefore I'm better than Kanye. But I don't know if that's necessarily advantageous to Drake. He's at such a gigantic point in his career. Like, does that point even need to be made? But hey, it's Drake, and he's having fun with it. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. Do I think that Kanye has a point here? A bit more of a point than the Nick Cannon thing, I think. But it's kind of strange, because Kanye's saying like, oh, you offended me. Like, this offends me. That's not cool. But from Drake's perspective, it's clearly like, yeah, I wanted to offend you. I don't like you, or I'm mad at you, or whatever the fuck is going on here. So I don't know how much that matters. But then the Tyson Beckford one, this was entertaining too. So basically, Tyson Beckford, there was a post on the Shade Room, picture of Kim, and obviously Kim has a fucking ridiculous looking ass. It's gigantic. And Tyson Beckford comments and basically said like, that's not for me. I don't like it. So Kim comments back and says something to the effect of like, we all know why you don't like it, sis. So she's saying, you're gay. Is Tyson Beckford gay? I have absolutely no clue. But, he says he's not, and he's just like a cool, stylish older man, which sounds believable to me. I'm not really like looped in on the whole like Hollywood thing enough that I like know who's low-key gay. I plan on finding out and sharing that with you as I slowly descend into the Hollywood Illuminati. I'm going to be making videos exposing everybody's secret lifestyles in the near future. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, that's a weird one too. No, I think Kanye's pretty much in the right here, because I feel like the conversation that was being had what the fuck is going on, Mike? The conversation that Tyson Beckford had, like what he did, I think was definitely like clearly more offensive. Like he just straight up left an Instagram comment sort of ridiculing Kanye's wife's body. And that's very different than what Nick Cannon did, because Nick Cannon, at least, you know, Vlad titled it the way he titled it, but Nick Cannon was really just having a conversation about plastic surgery, and Kim was just sort of the entry point into that conversation. I mean, Tyson Beckford, like, he should know better than to be dropping comments on the Shade Room like that, like, unless he really wants that smoke. But I mean, shit, I've also said smoke a lot in that context in this little clip. But I don't know. It's just so shocking to me that he would do that, because I'm so much less famous than him, and I know what would happen if I dropped a comment like that on a photo of a famous woman. Like, if you know, it's not friendly territory for guys out here who want to just casually like criticize women's bodies through Instagram captions or comments. Even though, you know, what Nick Cannon did by talking about her body as someone who once dated her, I mean, I can understand how that's kind of offensive, but at least there's some context in that 10-minute clip. What Tyson did is weird. Although I also 100% do not buy into this whole thing that Kim is like appropriating gay culture by using the word cis, or that she's homophobic by just implying that he's gay. I think that was pretty funny. I actually really, really liked that. I really liked seeing Kim fire those shots. Anyway, this is my little analysis of this whole topic. I'd love to know what you guys think. Drop some comments down below. Do you think Kanye is in the right? Do you want to see Kanye go post up on O Block? I think it's happening. I'm happy as fuck to see him back in Chicago. I want to see what energy comes out of that. Wyoming? I don't know. Chirac? Hey. Love you guys. Peace.